Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my diary entry for the week of March 19th through 25th. Today is Saturday, March 25th. So this past week has been okay. We had our manga club meeting. My neighbors are doing some work on their house. So if you hear that, I apologize. They've been working on their house for over a week now. But yeah, last week it was the dogs. This week it's construction noises from next door. So yeah, this week was okay. I had my manga club meeting on Thursday, so I got out of the house. So that was nice. And yeah, so I did finish a few things because I did read the Monochrome Manga Club selections, but I also finished a novel. And so I'll give you a little bit of a wrap up here at the beginning. I am in the middle of one book, or I should say I've started two books. So I'll give you a little bit of reading update there. And then I have a little wax haul for you. So I got an order from Kindness and Candles. So I thought I'd share that with you since I don't really have much other content to share with you this week. I haven't done any knitting. And so yeah. Let's get into the wrap up first. So for March Mystery Madness, I read Stolen Tongues. This one is by Felix Blackwell. So I had chosen this one because I had gotten a prompt for my TBR game to read a book that I had added to my TBR most recently. And this happened to be one of them. I heard about it from Jem over at Bookish Gems. And it was like her favorite book of 2022. And so when I had watched her video, I had added it to my to-read list. And so I thought I would read that one. And so this one, I borrowed a copy off of Kindle Unlimited, but I listened to the entire thing on audiobook, which I borrowed from Hoopla. I didn't actually read the ebook. So this particular story is about a couple, and they go on this romantic getaway to a cabin in the woods, and then strange things start to happen. A shadowy figure shows up outside. There are footprints in the snow. It is wintertime. I should have probably said that. The girlfriend, who is prone to talking in her sleep, actually starts having a conversation with somebody. Pretty creepy from the synopsis. I will say that while I was reading it, there was definitely a feeling of creepiness. Some of the things that happen in the story are kind of gross. There's a section where there's a lot of vomiting. And so if you're squeamish about that, you probably want to skip this. But yeah, lots of vomiting in one section. But all in all, I thought this book was enjoyable. I didn't enjoy it as much as Jem, though. So, Jem, if you're watching, I apologize. I didn't enjoy this as much as you did, but I think there are reasons for it. So, like I said, I listened to this entire book on audio, and the narration was terrible. It was pretty bad. I normally listen to my audiobooks during my lunch break. And so I listen about an hour a day, and my normal listening speed is 2 times. So I normally don't listen to anything faster than 2 times speed, because for me, over 2 times, sometimes the voices get really strange, and yeah, that makes it an unenjoyable listening experience to me. I've been known to slow it down to 1.75, but this one was okay for me at 2 times speed. The voices were okay except for the voice that was being portrayed for the female character, the girlfriend. Her voice just came off really irritating, how the narrator was narrating it. Now, the narrator is male, and so it's a male narrating a female, and the way he narrates the girlfriend comes off as very whiny. And when she gets mad, it's even worse. It's like nails on a chalkboard whining. I didn't enjoy it. And there are points in this story where, because things are happening for the girlfriend, like, she's the one that's talking back in her sleep. And it seems like she is the one that is speaking to the shadowy figure. And it's not only just the shadowy figure, there are other things that are happening. And it seems like they're most connected to her, because she gets angry at, the constant questions and her not knowing what's going on and other people expecting that she's knowing what's happening to her. She gets mad. And when she gets mad, the narrator just does a really, really poor job, I think, of portraying that as anger and not as whiny baby. And so that was unenjoyable for me. As far as the story, I thought it was interesting. There is definitely a creep factor there, especially in the beginning section where you don't really know what's going on. I have a hair on my face. Like, can't find it. There is definitely a feeling of creepiness, like, especially at the beginning part. As we start to figure out what's going on, though, I would say that feeling of creepiness kind of goes by the wayside to a feeling of, like, anger and resentment at the things that are happening, and I didn't enjoy that as much. There is a bit of Native American inspired lore in this story. Like, there are characters who are portrayed as Native American, but based on what I gathered from the authors afterward, they weren't necessarily supposed to be Native American to the point where he actually did research and made sure that things were correct. He kind of just wanted to tell a story. And after hearing that afterward part, I don't agree with the things that he said. Like, it came off as crass, ignorant, maybe? I don't know. I didn't enjoy his explanation as to why he didn't do certain things or didn't research properly, but still made his characters Native American. Like, our main couple is not Native American. I believe they are white. But there are Native American characters in here because what's happening is supposedly based in Native American lore. I think that's the gist of what happened, but again, I'm not quite sure. I kind of got really ticked off when I was listening to the author's explanation about his process about writing this story and his concerns about it being based in Native American lore and having Native American characters, but not wanting to put something out where he had to be, like, correct. It was very, very strange. I don't know how else to explain it, but listening to that afterward definitely brought down my feelings about this story. It almost came across as he wanted to write Native American characters and stories, but didn't want to write them as Native American characters and stories. That they were just fantastical beings set up in a fantastical world. That's kind of the gist of what I got, and I didn't think that was acceptable. So I got kind of ticked off at that point. The story itself, the flow was a little bit weird for me because I definitely felt like there was a certain point where the story could have stopped, but then it just continued. And it continuing left a few questions. There are a couple things, even after listening to this entire book, where I'm like, what happened with this piece of information? I don't understand what happened there. And I don't know. I don't think that it's because I wasn't paying attention to the story, because I was, but maybe I missed something. I don't know. I just feel like there were pieces in there where things were left untied, not concluded, like doors were left open. The story does have some miscommunication in it, I would say. There's a point where characters are lying And I did not appreciate that, especially because the lies were coming from a parent. And at this point, our couple, they're adults. They're I think in their early 20s, if not mid 20s. I can't remember exactly, but they're getting ready to get married. I mean, they're engaged, and their parents, I should say her parents, just lied a couple times to our male character, and I don't like lying. I don't like miscommunication in a story. And for me, there was no real good reason why the parents were hiding things from our main character. And so, yeah, it just kind of irritated me a lot. The reason for certain things happening was interesting, but I kind of wish it went a different way. And so, yeah, it just left me feeling kind of strange at the end. It kind of lost that creepy factor for me. I would say probably towards the middle, when all of the conflict started to come up. I definitely think I did myself a disservice by listening to the audiobook instead of reading the ebook, because I believe the narration on this played heavily on my feelings on this book. I think if I had read it instead with my eyes, I wouldn't have as weird of a feeling about how the story went. I probably would have enjoyed it more, even though, like I said, the afterword probably would have ticked me off just as much. But this one ended up being a 3.75 for me. I never rate things off the halves, but I couldn't decide whether or not this would be a 4, where it would be something that I would reread, or if it was a 3.5, where it would be something that I would not reread, but would suggest to other people. The only person that I've really heard about this book from has been Jem, so I'm interested to see what other people have thought of this book. Especially if they've read the authors afterward. I just think it would have been better if he didn't tell us why he was going to be lazy about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no good reason, in my mind, that if you're going to write a minority character, to just say, hey, this is a work of fiction, and so they may be portrayed as whatever minority it is, but really, it's just a work of fiction, so they're not really that minority. But I'm going to say they are. That's kind of how it came off to me. I don't know. Maybe I misread. I should probably go and reread the afterwards, but it just came off real distasteful to me. And so, yeah, I almost went with my gut and said it was a 3.5. But on the other side of this, I think, like I said, if I had not listened to the audiobook in its entirety, and I had actually read the pages and the words with my eyes, I probably would have a different feeling about this book. So I may put this on my radar to possibly reread, maybe during spooky season in 2024. I don't think I want to do it this year, because the story would still be too fresh in my mind. But maybe in October, like 2024, I'll try to read this again and see if my thoughts have changed, and not listen to the audiobook and just read the ebook copy. See if my thoughts have changed, because like I said, I do think that listening to the narration and how it was presented definitely colored my opinion of this story. So, yeah, I gave it a 3.75. I would consider rereading it again, but I don't necessarily want to do it real soon. So, yeah. Sorry, Jem. Didn't enjoy it as much as you, but yeah, it was interesting. I just don't think that I have a real great track record with horror that's written by men. I read a lot of horror written by men, not last year, but the year before. And I found a lot of issues with all of the things that I read. So I think it's a problem with the way it's being presented, at least to me. So yeah, I am also not having really great luck with audiobooks lately. I have never had as many audiobooks that I didn't enjoy as I've had this year. It's very, very strange. I usually have really great luck with narrators, but just for whatever reason, several of the narrations I've listened to this year have not been great. So that may also have an impact on my thoughts on this one as well. So yeah, 3.75. If you have read it, let me know. I'd like to know your thoughts on it. And if you've read the authors afterward, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that one as well. So I mentioned to you that we did the Monochrome Manga Club meeting this week. So I did read through the Monochrome Manga Club selections since I talked to you last. And so our two first in the series selections were Kemono Jihen Volume 1 by Sho Aimoto. This one's published by 7 Seas, rated older teen. And then we also read Volume 1 of Usotoki Rhetoric by Ritsu Miyako, published by One Piece Books. And I would say this is rated teen, but One Piece doesn't put their age ratings on the back. So I just filmed my series first impressions on these two volumes, so I won't be talking about them here. But if you're interested in hearing my thoughts on these volumes, definitely check out my series first impressions video that went up on Monday. I would consider both of these March Mystery Madness selections because they're both mysteries. Kemono Jihen is a more supernatural style mystery, and it has a monster detective agency that you get introduced to in this one. And then Usotoki Rhetoric is more of a private investigator type mystery that's historical. So definitely recommend these two series. And like I said, if you'd like to hear my thoughts on those, you can check out my Monochrome Manga Club series first impressions video that went up on Monday. I will link it down in the description box below. So the other two selections that I will talk to you about are our continuing series reads, and that is volumes 17 and 18 of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba by Koyoharu Gotouge, published by Viz, rated teen. So I don't know that this would be considered for March Mystery Madness, though there are mysterious elements throughout this story. It's more of an action battle type story with mysterious elements on the side. Still really enjoying this one. We're getting close to the end. I think there are about 5 volumes left. Really, really enjoyed these. We had another character death in these volumes, which was surprising. We left off in the middle of a battle again, which I kind of think at this point of the series is unavoidable because of what's happening. Like, this is the big fight. The big fight as we get towards the end of the series. And so we check in with a lot of the characters simultaneously because they're all fighting at the same time. But obviously because of how we're consuming this, you can only check in with certain people at certain times. So it's really interesting because you're seeing this battle from all of the angles, and it's just a lot to like enjoy and absorb. And these battles are gruesome because we're at the point now where our characters are fighting the most powerful of the demons, the Kizuki. And I really enjoy how the mangaka tells us backstories about all of the characters. I mean, when we are fighting the Kizuki, we see their backstory. We see how they've become demons. We see what kind of life they lived before they became a demon. And with some of these demons, you feel bad for them. I mean, I felt bad for one of the demons and how his life had occurred before he became a demon. And it was just heart-wrenching. And, you know, even with another one of the demons in the previous volumes, these people, they weren't treated well when they were human. So it makes sense. And people were just terrible to them. But yeah, I definitely had my heartstrings pulled for one of the Kizuki that we're following in here. And obviously the character death, not expected. But really looking forward to continuing with this one. Like I said, we're heading towards the end. So we'll do one more month of 2 volumes, and then we'll finish out the series in the next month with the last 3 volumes. Because I don't think we could just read 2 volumes and then wait for the last volume. Like, that would, like, be hurtful. So, really enjoyed this one. And then Erased, Volume 2. I quite enjoyed this one as well. This would be considered for March Mystery Madness because we are dealing with a like murder mystery, kind of a serial killer. So again, as a refresher, the story follows a 28-year-old main character who has the ability to revive time, which I wouldn't really say at this point it's an ability because he doesn't know how to activate it. It just kind of happens to him. And so when something can be avoided, he gets sent back maybe 5-10 minutes and is able to try to avoid what happened previously from happening. And so he knows now, after having it happen to him, that when he gets sent back or revived time, to be very aware of what's going on, to try to prevent what had happened from happening. We get to a point in the story where something has happened to someone in his life, and instead of reviving just prior to prevent it from happening, he gets sent back into time to a time where he was 11 years old. And at that time, there was a case where his classmate had been kidnapped and murdered. So he figures that he needs to prevent what had happened to his classmate from happening so that he can return to the future and prevent that thing that happened in his present time from happening again. The first omnibus, which we read last month, kind of left off as a cliffhanger. You kind of didn't know if he had prevented what had happened from happening. And in this installment, we kind of continue with what had happened and find out whether he was successful or not. And things are getting really interesting. I had predicted a suspect after I had read volume 1, and the suspect came up as a suggestion here in this volume, so I thought that was nice, but I think that because it was already addressed that I'm probably not correct on that. I mean, why would they address the person that I thought was responsible? But I could be wrong. I mean, to me, that person was the most viable option. But I do read a lot of mysteries, so yeah. It might just be intuition, but I could also be very wrong. So I was very interested to see what happened in here. This story does deal with child abuse. Very, very bad child abuse. Physical, mental child abuse. So know that going in. There's obviously death and murder, and so all things to be aware of if those are triggers for you. But this investigation is very interesting. There were characters that were introduced in the first omnibus that I wasn't sure why they were introduced, but in this volume it kind of solidifies their ties to our main character and integrates them into what's going on with what the main character is going through and trying to prevent and things like that. And so I thought it was done really well. Again, in the middle of the volume, between the 2 volumes, because there are 2 volumes in here, there's a short from the mangaka, just kind of day in the life kind of thing, where they let us know what they had done and something they had experienced. And then at the end of the volume, after the 4th volume, I guess, there is also another kind of day in the life little sketch. And so I enjoy those. I enjoy seeing what the mangaka was up to while they were drawing the story, while they were coming up with the story, while they were producing the story. And it just kind of makes it a little bit more personal, and you kind of feel like a little bit of a connection to this person whose work that you're reading. And so I quite enjoyed that. Definitely excited to see what's going to happen in the 3rd installment, which we will be reading in April. And so that is everything that I read since I talked to you last. Now, since I finished Stolen Tongues, I did start a new audiobook. I started Live and Let Chai, which is the first book in the Seaside Cafe mystery series by Bree Baker, I believe. I'm listening to this one. Again, I borrowed it from Hoopla. This is a cozy mystery, so it would definitely have been one that I would have considered under Book One Cozy's Club. For those of you who haven't been with me for a while, I ran for over 5 years a first in a series cozy mystery book club where we read first in a series cozy mysteries. And so that's kind of the tag that I use anytime that I'm reading a first in a series cozy mystery now, because that was my thing for so long. I no longer run it. I only run the Monochrome Manga Club now. But yeah, I used to really enjoy reading the cozy mysteries. And it's been quite a while since I've kind of gotten into cozy mysteries. It's still something that I enjoy, but I don't read them as much as I used to. And so, yeah, it was something that came up as one of my selections or suggestions for my TBR game, which the prompt was a Goodreads recommendation. So this had come up on one of the lists. The other option I had was From Below, which was from Darcy Coates, but I don't have access to that audiobook, and I needed an audiobook to fill in, my workday lunch period, and so I went for this one. And so this one follows the proprietress of a iced tea cafe. She specializes in different types of iced teas, and she also serves like pastries and muffins and things like that to go alongside. She runs this out of her house. So a section of her house is like her cafe section. And then she also lives in a different section of the house. And she has kind of been going up against one particular neighborhood member who was against her opening this business in her house because it would be bad for the town and things like that. And so she was given the okay to open the cafe, which is why she's operating it currently. But this guy keeps coming in and I would say harassing her. It's not really like physical harassment, or he's not really unruly when he does it, but he just constantly pokes at her for the fact that he's friends with like the mayor or something, and there's a city meeting coming up and he's going to bring up a reason why her cafe should be shut down. And at this point in time, it's because she won't share her ingredient list. Like, he says that nobody knows what they're drinking or whatever, and so he wants her ingredients to be listed on the menu. And she is very against this because they're old family recipes. She doesn't want to give away, the secret family recipes, and she feels that if she puts out an ingredient list, people are going to know how to make her iced teas. And so she doesn't want to do that. And this guy is like, no, you have to. And so what she's been doing is every day when he comes in, she gives him free iced tea. And, she has a little bit of a banter with him. And then he leaves with the free iced tea every day, or what it seems like every day. And she's not the only one that he has ticked off. There are other people, and you definitely see that in the beginning of this book. But then, of course, he is found dead. And she becomes the very first immediate suspect because he was found with a cup of her iced tea, and it seems that he has been poisoned. So the thought is that she poisoned his iced tea and killed him to get him off her back. And so she is being heavily looked into by the new police officer in town. And so she needs to find a way to not only clear her name, but make it known that her iced tea wasn't the one that killed him, because of course everybody now thinks that she poisons her iced tea and does not want to purchase anything from her or support her business. Yeah, I thought that this was definitely very entertaining at the beginning. Very much your typical cozy mystery. I am a little bit irritated with the main character at this point. Now, it being a first in a series, you know, you're just getting to know our characters and how they operate. And for me, the thing with cozy mysteries is that the character, even though that they're an amateur sleuth, they need to be smart about what they're doing. Like, think it through. Don't do anything hot-headed or what I consider dumb. And, you know, be logical about the steps that you're taking to sleuth. And she is already starting to irritate me. Like, she's not being very logical about how she's going about getting the information. There's one point in here where I've listened to, I think I'm about 26% in, where she was attacked. And she doesn't report it because she doesn't want to get in trouble. And it's like, dude, you were attacked. And you were attacked when you were close to something that you were trying to look at that could be related to the murder. And then, you know, that particular thing has gone missing. Like, you should report that. And she doesn't. She doesn't do it. I think where I'm at, it's like the day after, and she's already been reprimanded for not doing that. So she says she's going to do it, but she hasn't actually done it yet. And I'm just like, that was a dumb move. I don't like when characters do stuff like that. And so while I enjoyed what I listened to already, I'm a little bit irritated with our main character at this point. The iced teas sound delicious. The pastries sound delicious. But yeah, she kind of irritated me a little bit, but I'm still interested to see how this is going to go. I obviously see a cliche, typical cozy mystery trope coming about, which I think is going to happen. There's obviously your classic cozy mystery markers where we have our main character who has come back to her hometown, new sheriff in town or new police detective. Our character turns into an amateur sleuth to try to clear their name or somebody close to them. And in this case, it just happens to be her. So, yeah, it feels comfy to be reading a cozy mystery again. But, you know, I have realized that there are definite things in cozy mysteries that I don't enjoy. And as I grow older, I don't have as much patience for, I guess. So, yeah. Still enjoyable, though. I'm still really enjoying this one. So, I'll continue with that one during my lunch break throughout this week. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish it before the month is over, but we will see. And then the last book I have to read for my TBR game and for March Mystery Madness is Cross My Heart and Hope to Spy, which is the second book in the Gallagher Girls series by Ali Carter. So, I have tried to read this book the last couple nights. And I've only read chapter 1, which is like 10 pages. So I'm having a hard time getting into this one. The first night I picked this up, I think I read 1 page and it put me to sleep. So I was actually able to get to a whole chapter last night before I got really tired. So we'll see how this goes. I was very confused in the beginning as to what was happening But I think that has to do with the fact that it's been several years since I read the first book, which I can't even remember what it was called. But I read it several years ago, and this one kind of continues after the events of what happened in that one. And so I think that's part of my confusion, but it also kind of just like drops you in and is confusing in general. So I'm not sure if I had read the first one and this one back to back, if I would have had that confusion. I kind of get the feeling that I wouldn't have, but yes, I was very confused in this first chapter. But apparently, based on the summary, something interesting is going to happen, and she's going to have to find a way to clear her name. So we will see about what happens with that. This is a story about a girls' school, girls' like academy, where they are all being trained to become spies. It's called the Gallagher Academy for Exceptional Young Women. And so I quite enjoyed the first one. This is a middle grade. And in the first one, we definitely get more of the schooling aspect where she's taking classes and learning the spy techniques and all of that. And they actually go out on a case or mission, I guess you would call it instead, because it's not investigative. It's more spy. And so the beginning of this touches on that mission and the outcome of it. And so this one, something happens where she, our main character, in this one becomes the suspect of a bombing or an explosion in the school. I think that's what happens. The back here is actually part of the text from the first chapter of this book. So, yeah. I'm still interested in continuing this. I'm hoping that it doesn't keep putting me to sleep, though, because otherwise it's going to be very hard to get through this. I do not think that I'm going to be able to finish this by the end of March, to be honest. Even though this should read pretty quickly, 236 pages, I would probably need to read about 50 pages a night to get this one done, and I have not been tracking that many pages recently in my reading, so we'll see how far I get through this, but I don't think I'm going to finish this until April. So yeah, that's where I'm at with my reading. So this update has definitely been longer than I had anticipated. I had thought that I'd need some extra time to fill in for this update, which is why I have my wax haul here, but I do have a wax haul that came in from Kindness and Candles. And Kindness and Candles started their business making wax melts and candles based on like popular book tropes. So there's like fated mates, and there's also like bookstagram and friends to lovers and things like that. And all of those fragrances were inspired by those tropes. Well, they have decided to not continue with the bookish line anymore, and they've gone more towards a collections, limited time offers, and collections type of sales or releases. And so the one that I had purchased from was called their Cottage Core collection, and so they were kind of all inspired by things that are in cottage core. And so I picked up a couple from that line, and then I also picked up a couple from their Zodiac line. So they're also doing a line of Zodiac inspired fragrances. So I've got 4 wax melts here, and I've got a candle. And so we'll start with this one. This is Love Letters. And so this is a wax melt that's gardenia, tuberose, jasmine, lemon peel, and powder. This is really, really nice. It's everything that I was hoping for. Definitely gardenia heavy. Just really, really pretty floral. So I got the wax melt, and because I thought I was going to enjoy this so much, I also got the candle. And Kindness and Candles does woodwick candles. And so, yes. There's a little bit of iridescent glitter on the top there. I don't know if you can see it. But Kindness and Candles candle performance has been exceptional for me. Super strong. Just with one of their candles, it fills my entire house. So I'm super excited for that. The other fragrance I got from the Cottage Core collection was the Wildflowers fragrance. This was jasmine, rose, lilac, lilies, and carnation. And obviously very floral again, because I do enjoy my florals. This one's really nice too. I definitely get a really green scent. There's also lilac. I think it's the lilac that comes off really heavily for me. And again, it's got some iridescent glitter on top there. I think you can see that a little bit better. But yeah, that's really nice as well. I don't like it as much as Love Letters, but it's really nice. And then I got 2 from the Zodiac collection. So I got Pisces. And none of these are my Zodiac, just so that you know. Pisces is ozone, linen, sea salt, freesia, and eucalyptus. And this one is just very fresh. I get that eucalyptus, the ozone. I don't know that I get linen or freesia. Eucalyptus, ozone, linen, sea salt for sure. So I'm really excited for that one. So that's Pisces. And then I also got Aquarius. And she only releases these as the zodiacs come about during the year. And so not all of the zodiacs are available right now. These were only the 2 that were available when I was ordering. So Aquarius is cucumber, bamboo, melon, aloe, and ozone. We quite enjoy bamboo fragrances in this house as well. You know, if you watched my Scentsy videos, that we have bamboo yuzu in our Scentsy club. And so I thought this one would be really nice. And it is very, very fresh. You definitely get that bamboo, cucumber, and melon with that ozone. I don't know if I smell aloe in here, but it's really, really nice. It's really fresh. I quite enjoy that one. So that's Aquarius. And that's everything I have to share with you today. So it is a bit of a longer update for you here. But I guess I did have a lot more to say about the things that I read this week than I thought I did. And so, yeah, like I said, the week was okay. You know, I've noticed that since my coworker has worked 5 days now, the last couple weeks, I definitely have had weight lifted off of me because I am not bogged down by her stuff anymore. I can focus solely on my own work, so I'm not behind anymore. So that has been excellent. I did have a headache day yesterday, which was not very good because I needed to work on my taxes. This is the latest in the year that I have worked on my taxes. So I really need to get that off to my accountant on Monday. And so I have all of that done. So that's good. Once that's done, I'll feel a little bit more relaxed, I think, because I typically kind of feel like held down and pressure because of taxes. Taxes always freak me out. I don't know why. Every year, until the taxes are done, I don't feel like good. I just feel like additional stress. So I'll get that over to my accountant on Monday, so that'll be good. And yeah, I've got one of my classes scheduled because I need to take classes for my occupation. And so I've got one of those scheduled for later this year already. So that's good. I still need to schedule a couple other classes, but I can do those classes online. So I'm not too concerned about those. But I got a lot of admin stuff in my life done this week. So I'm feeling a little bit better about that. And yeah, so here's hoping that we end the month strong. I'm going to try to finish up my March Mystery Madness strong. I wasn't able to get the mystery manga recommendations video up that I wanted to, just because it's just been a really bad year. It's been a really bad year. I do want to get one of those up sometime this year. I've read quite a few this month, so I've already got a good basis for another video, so I'd like to do that. I didn't get to my light novels either, so that's kind of upsetting, but I'll get to them eventually. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got. My TBR for the Aurelia Magical Readathon and my Rotating Decks TBR game did go up on Saturday, so if you're interested in seeing what I have plans for in April, definitely check that out. I'll link it down in the description box below. And let me know what you were up to this week. If you think that you're going to end your reading strong in the month of March, or what you're working on, let me know what you're reading, what you're trying to finish before the end of the month. I'd really love to know that as well. If nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a flower emoji, some type of flower emoji, down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and simile always. Bye.